back here, Mike 9, Southern Nihilism Front Radio, Southern Nihilism Front, whatever you want to say, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. That last set we heard from Warfare, Burn Down the King's Road, old British band. Next was Bad Posture, Time for Smack. PTL Club, a song called Warning. I Exist, A Turn for the Worse, which is a band that we'll be touring with in Australia, which we're about to go to next week. I'm super excited about that. I hate God's got 5-6 shows in Australia. We're finally going over there, man. So I Exist will be doing the whole tour with us. Next up was Ween. Some of you guys might not like Ween that much, but I think they're awesome. Candy Snatchers, great band. Not together anymore. And then some more aggravating comedy from Neil Hamburger. That was called Freebasing. So I'm on the phone right now with J.B. Beverley from Murder Junkies, Wayward Drifters, Little White Pills. You got so much stuff going on, man. It's hard to keep track of everything. You know, I was looking you up on different internet areas, YouTube, and just checking you out, and man, you got a lot of stuff happening, man, so you're keeping busy, obviously.
Yeah, it's the only way to, you know, keep from the cuckoo bed in the penitentiary, you know?
Yeah, I know that story, man. That's the same thing with me, you know. I gotta live out here in the woods, man, to keep out of trouble, so I'm not near
you, man. I had to remove myself out to the sticks of eastern North Carolina and get away from all the lunatics, man. You know.
So you know, I'm from High Point, right? You know, so you know that area, right? High Point, Greensboro, Winston-Salem.
I sure do. Yeah, I sure do, man. I love it up there.
Where are you at exactly up there? You said you're out in the sticks. Are you far from the city? Or you what's the biggest city you're near?
I'm a couple hours from where you're from, but there's no real. The nearest city to me, realistically, is probably Richmond, Virginia, which is a couple hours north. Like as far as like big towns, I mean Rocky Mount's about 20-25 miles. It's nothing out here, man. It's a little 2-stoplight town with a church and a post office and a bunch of abandoned shops. This old railroad town that train stop. You know, it used to be a depot town. Trains quit running here years ago, and so now it's kind of
that must be
itself, you know. And yeah, man. And when the trains come through town, since they don't stop here anymore, it's like old railroad etiquette. You know, they just lay on the horn. You know what I mean? Like from the start of the town through the stop of the town.
Yeah.
They blow the damn horns the whole way through, all day, every day, all night long. It's crazy.
And that's a beautiful sound. That's a beautiful sound if people are into that. You know, that must be a good influence for you, man. Writing. I don't know what your project is right now. Is it more country, or are you doing more? Because I know you've done everything. You've done straight up hardcore punk rock stuff to straight up country, and all of it's authentic, good stuff, man. What are you working on right now? Like,
well, thanks, man. Well, right now the biggest thing I got going on is kind of like my solo CD, man. It just has my name. It's not a Wayward Drifters record. It's sort of a mixed bag of stuff that I've been doing, man. It's called Stripped to the Root. You know, like a lot of stuff happened where my whole life kind of got stripped down, man, and I kind of went full circle and kind of had to get back in that old vibe, man. You know, get back where I come from and you know, feel my, you know how it is, bro. Like when you're a kid and you're so inspired, and it's like music kind of saves your life. You know, I had to get back to that. You know, and so it's sort of a big reflective biographical record of the last couple of years, but it's a mixed bag. There's some country on it, there's some old time, there's some blues, there's some straight up, you know, shit-kicking rock and roll. You know, it's definitely a mixed bag. You know, it's like you couldn't really. It'd be a hard record to find a section for if you were to put it in a record store. You'd be like, damn, where do I put this one?
Well, and you know what? That's always a good thing. You know, that's a record that's undefinable like that. It's usually something totally original that you can't put in any category. You know. I know.
Absolutely.
I don't like when being labeled as like, you know, I'm being a musician and they label you a certain thing. You know, it gets kind of annoying sometimes. You know, you just want to saying, this is just rock and roll, basically, or blues, or we call I Hate God. We just call ourselves a blues band because that's what it is. It's like modern, as if Mississippi John Hurt had an electric guitar and listened to Black Sabbath and Black Flag, it would have been I Hate God, So.
Oh, exactly. So, well, I always say, all good music comes down to two things, man: 3 chords and the truth. I don't give a shit what it is.
There you go. That's a great way to put it, man. That's a great way to put it. So, I mean, you've been in. So, I mean, what was your earliest bands that you were in? You were. I mean, how did you started? Go ahead, Doug. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, how did you? I was wondering how Merle. You probably met Merle somehow, and I was just wondering how that came about. Like, what band were you in before you were in the Murder Junkies? Was kind of, my question.
I was in a band that, unless you live in the D.C. area, you probably wouldn't have heard of, called the Bad Habits. It was pretty short-lived. I put 2 or 3 different incarnations of it together. Just, kind of the first band that I ever had that really played shows and, was writing original material and stuff when I was a teenager. And then when I joined the Murder Junkies the first time in mid to late 1998. But I had met Merle a year and a half or so after Gigi passed away. I was buying some video footage from him and this and that, and I kind of told him, I was just like, yeah, man, at the time they still had Mike Denied in the band, and I was just like, if something doesn't work out with Mike and you need a singer, holler at me. And and given Merle's situation, he hears that kind of shit all the time. So he was kind of like, yeah, man, thanks, And then
sure.
I went and saw them play several months later, and I jumped up on stage for a song or two and just guest vocal, and it really worked out well. And several months later, with Mike Denied no longer in the band, Merle called me up and was like, hey, can you get up here and rehearse some tunes? And I was living in D.C. at the time, New York City wasn't that far. He gave it a 3.5, 4-hour bus ride, so I was on a Greyhound bus like that following weekend.
Sure.
Jamming with those guys, and so I did that up until for all of the rest of '98 into '99, and then got into some personal crap, just legal troubles and out of court, and got arrested and bullshit. And then I wound up. Merle kind of folded the band, and then so it was back in 1999. I started. For the first time in a long time, I didn't have a band, so I was taking my acoustic guitar and just kind of kicking old, country blues and honky-tonk and bluegrass tunes and shit just with my acoustic for extra money and stuff. And that's how I wound up forming the Wayward Drifters. It was just sort of by accident. I didn't have shit else going on, so I just sort of happened. And so basically, then I rejoined the Junkies in December of '03. I don't remember when it was. I think it was December of '03. I played a show in D.C. with them. And then the following year, they did their first real, when I say real national tour, they toured with Gigi, but it was like, they'd play Mississippi on a Tuesday, play, Dallas on a Friday, and then, Greyhound up to, wherever. It was like they'd play, a show or two a week. They were lucky because how they had to travel, and so, for the first time ever, that band hit the road and just sort of, we were gigging. I think we did somewhere in the neighborhood of 28 shows in 34 days or something ridiculous like that. Just pounding our way across the country and back. So it was.
I think y'all played New Orleans. I'm trying to think if you were the singer last time. I haven't seen
I was.
Yeah, because I came
the 2004 show because Jimmy Bauer was there, and I wound up we were all sitting around talking and shit. I broke my hand that night. I got tripped up, and I remember that show really well because I busted a bone in my damn hand. And I finished the set with my hand swollen up like I was wearing a catcher's mitt,
Yeah, I was at that show that night too. Because I remember So Mike Denied didn't last that long, right? So you were like the next singer after Mike. So I wasn't sure. I knew that wasn't. There was nobody in between. Right.
No, well, there was sort of, yes and no. Like, Mike was the last recorded vocalist for that band, and then the dude, Francis, FC Murder, the guy that he actually plays guitar for the Murder Junkies now, he did vocals for an honest handful of shows between Mike and myself, and then from the time Merle folded the band and then got it back together, I mean, Jeff Clayton's sort of been, from Anti-Scene, Jeff's sort of been the strong arm revolving door. Like, he'll come and go at certain times, and, you know, I've always really enjoyed, you know, watching Jeff do it. So it was a cool little legacy to, you know, to pay my respect.
I wish I would have, right. I wished I would have caught him with Jeff, man. I almost got to see him in Richmond one time, but because you know, we used to go back and forth to Richmond a lot because Buzz Oven, you know, those guys. So I and God and Buzz Oven were like brother sister bands, you know. So, but I never caught the Murder Junkies with Jeff though. But so how was it though? Like, say, I mean, obviously there was a singer before you after G.G. Allen, but so. It must have been, people must have been dicks, huh? I mean, like, you know, getting up there and saying, you know, cut yourself and do whatever, you know. Was there a lot of that going on? Like, a lot of bullshit fans?
The way I put it is that I got the best of both worlds out of it. Like, there were people who, on the one hand, were diehard fans, and they'd just be instantly loyal, man. They'd be like, you know,
to the song,
yeah. You know, yeah, and like, there was a certain segment of the fan base that instantly embraced me, and then of course you got another segment of the fan base that isn't going to embrace anybody, you know.
Right.
And so yeah. I mean, but the funny thing is, Mike, like, I got to the point, bro, where like after a while, man, you could have been standing up on stage with me before the show, just bullshitting with me, and I could have turned to you and been like, "Hey, bro, see that guy right there in the leather jacket with the short cropped hair and such and such?" I could have described this dude and pointed to him. And I'd have been like, it'll be him tonight. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, and 9.5 out of 10 times I was right, and I could spot him after a while. It's like that one dude that's like, hey man, he's not Gigi, I'm with him. It's like, all right, here we go. So, you know. Yeah,
I always wondered about that, you know, and I've kind of talked to Merle about it a little bit, but not a lot. I just figured there would be a lot of assholes, like, you know, trying to just squeeze it out of you, you know, trying to irk you and get you to do something stupid, you know, just because of the history, obviously, and all that, you know. But so that's cool.
There's that element of it, but I mean, at the same time, too, you know, I'll give Merle all the credit in the world where it's due. I mean, he sets a good precedent with that shit because he won't let people squeeze him. You know, the one thing, you ask anybody, you know, anybody that knows Merle knows, you know, you can go from someone he's smiling at and being friendly to being, you know, him calling you, you know, telling you, quit bumping into my merch table, you drunk fuck. You know, like he has the very thin line with people, and so going into it, you know, I sort of took that example. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, give them enough to, you know, give everybody a chance. You know, you never know who you're dealing with till you're dealing with them. But at the same time,
exactly.
If somebody habitually, you know, crosses that barrier with you, man, you gotta be ready to tell them about themselves, and if need be, smash them. So, you know.
Exactly. I mean, that's the way it's got to be. You know, it has to be like that. You know, I mean, it's always that kind of love-hate thing between me and the fans. For, you know, I mean, you know, there's people that just get on your nerves, but you just don't want to say nothing because, you know, it just depends on how messed up they really are acting. You know, but usually honesty is the best policy. You know, just to tell them off and get it over with. You know. So,
sure. I mean, there's just some people you're not going to be able to please them no matter what, bro. I mean, you can be standing there shredding your vocal cords, bleeding out of 10 different places, you know, and there's going to be one guy that's like, man, fuck, you know, fuck him, fuck this, you know. There's always going to be some asshole that doesn't get it, you know.
Yeah, there's always going to be. So did you ever do any official recording, like anything that you weren't on any albums, right? Or
yeah, that's like the ultimate irony, man. It's like, okay, maybe now at this point, with as much touring as the Junkies have done since PP started doing vocals. And, you know, Paul's a great guy, a great singer, man. I was real happy to kind of hand the torch to him because he's a diehard fan and he gets it and he's a smart guy and he's a good-natured dude, you know. You know, it's one of those things where up until that point, though, I mean, I had done more shows with that band than any other singer.
Right.
I mean, even more than Jeezy. You know, I mean, so it was. The irony is, up until maybe recently, you know, I've done the most gigs with that band, and I'm not on any fucking thing they've ever recorded. You know,
that is the ultimate irony, really. I mean,
I mean, maybe it's like Jeezy kicking me in the balls from the grave, man. You know.
I mean, you think of stuff like that, and you think like maybe that was meant to be or something. You know, like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's the nut shot in death that he didn't get a chance to give me in life, you know. So.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So let's talk about. Let's switch from that a little bit and talk about. I say were like, but this is it's a current thing still going on. You're friends with Bobby Liebling from Pentagram, and. He's doing a lot better, man, than he used to be. So how has that been, man? How was watching him go from the state he was in to being with a kid now and married and everything? Like, how long have you known him?
I've known Bobby for now several years at this point. I mean, he's become. I mean, he's one of my best friends. You know, we try to catch up, you know, pretty regularly. And to answer your question more specifically, how was it to see him go through that? The best way I can answer it is it was equally divided between being like the most trying and terrifying thing I've ever done as a friend to somebody, and then the most beautiful miracle I've ever seen. You know, where you know the quote unquote, you know, the dope fiend done good, man. You know, so it was one part nightmare and one part dream come true, you know.
I guess that's the whole story of him, you know. The movie conveys that pretty well, you know. I mean, and exactly what you just said is pretty much what it was, you know. I mean, that is what it is. I mean, it is a great story, a comeback story, you know. And the fact that they're like in Europe, they're touring Europe now, and it's just, you know, it's pretty amazing, man. It's just it's a definite feel-good story of the year, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bobby's even getting his respect from places you wouldn't believe, man. Like Hallie, you know, Bobby's wife. This is a funny like internet story for you. Like she follows Steven Tyler on Twitter, right? And he had put a post up saying something about, you know, any good movies worth watching, and she just happened to chime in with, you know, yeah, check out Last Days Here. It's a movie about my husband. And he got in touch with her. He heard her privately and was like, you know, I've already seen the movie, and I was really touched by Bobby's story, and tell him I'm a fan now, and this and that. So, I mean, he's getting his respect from places like he never believed possible. And so, I mean, you know, the thing is, a lot of people don't realize, too, is how broke down and worse for the wear he really was. You know, I mean, I got to give a lot of credit to a lot of, you know, my bros back in Maryland, man. I mean, people like Dave Sherman and, you know, and Gary Isom and Russ Strahan, a guy that stepped up.
I know both those guys. They're both awesome guys. Yeah.
You know, and you know, and then, you know, it's cool too, because I mean, Gary's been the drummer in my punk band, Little White Pills, for the last almost, 9 years. You know.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea he was in that band until I watched a video the other day. And I've been knowing Bobby since he was, you know, I don't even know what, it was one of Wino's bands. It might have been Spirit Caravan or Shine or something that played here. And I met Bobby, you know, so, I mean, I met Gary, so.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool, man, that he was in your band, too, so.
Well, yeah, that's the small world. It's like, you know, all over here how it is. I mean, New Orleans has a scene that, you know, in its glory days wasn't too dissimilar from what we had in D.C. and Northern Virginia and Maryland when I was, you know, coming up. It's, you know, it was a pretty wide open music scene where everybody kind of knew everybody, and you could expect to see, you know,
Yeah.
okay, well, so-and-so's got some off time, so he's, you know, guitar teching for so-and-so, and oh shit, what are you doing here? You know, all that kind of stuff, you know.
That's totally how it is down here, you know. It's there's always something going on, you know, like depending on who's on tour, there's a whole new band starting up with the 3 guys that are left here, you know, or something like that, you know.
Exactly, and that's the difference between, that's why I love New Orleans so much, man, because that's a fucking music community, man. And that's how I felt D.C. was. Yeah. You know, I don't know how the hell Washington is now. I haven't been there in several years, but that's where I came up. And so it's like, you know, it's a music community, man. I don't do well with scenes and all the trendy shit, and I don't give a damn what the cool kids are doing. But I know who my brothers are. And as long as I know that, then you know we're all right.
Sure, exactly, man. Well, that whole scene up there was like a big part of the early I God days, you know, just like, I mean, getting all those records from, you know, Unorthodox and The Wretched, and like, I know some of them are from different areas, like Baltimore and stuff like that, but just that whole area, you know.
People don't realize that you can leave downtown Baltimore and be in downtown D.C. in less than 45 minutes. You know,
it's not far at all.
Everything's pretty close, yeah.
And like Fredericksburg, too, is like where's Fredericksburg? It's right there in the middle somewhere, right? Or
yeah, right between D.C. and Richmond, yeah. Yeah, I mean, but you know how it is, man. And a lot of it's just that structure of, you know, I mean, if you think about it, you know, starting with D.C. and going all points south, I mean, you're getting into that structure of, you know, a lot of colonial southern cities, and the way the geography kind of maps itself out. There ain't much of shit that's too terribly far from anything until you hit the Gulf. You know?
Right. It's true, man. Well, what do you know about Bobby? Like, you know, I've talked to Bobby a few times, and not really in detail about music or anything, but I've seen him wearing like a Dead Boys shirt before, and I saw in some interview where he said he was friends with Iggy Pop and stuff like that. Like, I don't think many people know that Bobby was into some of the early punk stuff as well. You know, I think everybody thinks of him as like the '70s. He's into a lot of that stuff, right? Like, what do you know that?
Yeah, man, big time. I mean, Bobby is one of the actually, I won't even say one of the. Bobby Liebling has the most impressive record collection I've ever seen in my entire life, hands down.
Right, that's what. I
mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, literally, just his vinyl alone, it takes up wall after wall after wall. I mean, it's one thing for however messed up he got. You know, he never hawked those records. You know?
I know that was a big part of, like, Pellet had told me, you know, obviously, you know, Pellet, you know, obviously. Yeah. He had told me, like, the records were always something that they would kind of hold over his head, like, you know, well, it's in the movie, actually, I guess. There's some stuff about, you know, your record collection's ours if you keep smoking crack, you know, so that was kind of his thing that I guess he held dear to his heart, you know, of course, you know. It
is. Well, that's all he did, man. I mean, he would get up it's like every morning, man, 6:45, he goes to methadone clinic and nails a 110 milligram dose, man. You know, all 5'6", 5'7" of them. You know,
right.
pounding down a horse's dose of methadone, and go back to the sub basement and order himself up a few $100s worth of crack for the day, and just, you know, eat, you know, Xanny bars and Clonopins and whatever the fuck else. I mean, that was all day, every day. And so all he did around getting high was listen to records. And that's like the one thing that would cool him out, man. Like, he could be, you know, in full-blown psychosis, tearing up the house. You know, there's rats and lights and there's shit coming out of my arms. And he'd go be in the full frenzy of the psychosis. And you put on the right album and just sit and talk music with him, man, and snap him right out of it. You know,
I would love that. I could tell. I mean, that's pretty much all of us, though. I mean, I know I'm like that too. You know, that's usually the cure for what's ailing you. You know. But I would love
absolutely. I always said, you know, I couldn't never afford no therapist, and I don't trust doctors and important people. So I always said that, you know, Iggy Pop and Lemmy and Johnny Thunders and Steve Baders and Rocky Erickson. And, those are my therapists, man. So like,
man, me and you think exactly alike, because that's the same with me, And it's not like some kind of idolization of a fucked up person. It's just the fact that, that they left a legacy of killer music, and it's just like something that helps you.
Man. I mean, I not only that, but just like guys like Iggy and Lemmy today. I mean, like I saw the Stooges a year ago. It'll be a year ago December. I got to meet Iggy briefly, and I'll tell you what, man, that dude, they came out on stage. I saw him at the Warfield, out in San Francisco, and he came out on stage and played for damn near 3 hours nonstop.
Insane.
Encore. Yeah. That dude's leaping around like he's 20 still. And it blew my mind, man. I sat there and closed my eyes and was just like, it's like years went.
He should be pushing like 70, right? About right now. I mean, I would think.
I think he's either 65 or 66. Pretty damn sure.
Yeah, so he's getting up there. Well, that was one thing that, and this is a related story of somebody too, Shelton. Shelton. We were about to do this Arson Anthem tour, the band Arson Anthem that we have with Philip, and I wrote Shelton. I was like, man, I've been feeling bad lately because I was drinking a little too much and just not feeling good. And I was like, man, I'm too old for this. The next thing you know, he sends me an Iggy video from a recent Iggy Pop video, and I was just like snapped out of it. I was like, yeah, exactly. That's all he needed to say was send me that video,
Well,
I mean, I'm 20 years younger than that,
Sure, but it's the principle of it. That's the whole point. Is if this dude, I mean, my Iggy Pop's the same age as my dad, man. So it's like, sitting there going like, literally to the year. Like, I mean, my dad just turned 66, so I'm sitting there going like, this fucking dude's my dad's age. And he's outshining, my energy levels when I was 25. So it'll make you dig deep and push for it, man. It's like, you sit there and go, that's the kind of thing you want to capture. It's like the first hardcore show I ever saw was Bad Brain. And I remember watching HR, like, they started doing the big takeover, man. How in the beginning with all like the build-up.
The build-up.
And HR just kind of creeps out from behind the drums, man. And he times it so that right when they hit the downbeat, he jumps up on the damn monitor, throws his arms out on his sides, does a backflip, and lands it right when they jumped into the song. Dude, and I'm sitting there going like, granted, I mean, I'll never be an acrobat. I'm sitting there going like, dude, I want that.
Exactly.
I want my own version of that,
What year was that? Do you remember what year that was?
1989.
I saw him in like 83, I think it was. And I'll be honest, as a grown man, I will say it right now in front of all these people. Listen, I cried when I saw them because I had never seen something that intense in my life. Like that was the band that.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Black Flag, Yeah.
Absolutely. But the Brains, man, they changed. They opened shit up for everybody, man. I mean, they really did, and they were. People don't realize too, man. Like you listen to their stuff. I mean, there's some serious intricacies to that music. You know what I mean? There is nothing slot bucket or half-assed about that band ever.
No, they were accomplished musicians. They were real musicians. Like they weren't some skinhead kid picking up a guitar and learning 3 chords. They were doing like rhythm and blues or funk or something before. They
were a
fusion,
jazz
right?
band before they
like
a jazz band before they started doing that shit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Mind Power, I think they were called, or something like that. Mind Power, I believe it was. Yeah, but that was one of the most intense things I'd ever seen. And I was like 16 years old, just like mind completely blown at that point,
Yeah,
so,
I hear you.
So,
I hear you.
So what else you got going on, man? I mean, what's besides your solo record?
I'm doing a bunch of shit. I run a recording studio down in Fayetteville called Rebel Roots.
Rebel Roots, right?
Yeah, Rebel Roots. We got a few different projects going on there. I'm working with my buddy Cousin Wildweed, going to edit and co-direct the My Blue Star documentary, The Life and Hunching Times of Hazel Atkins, and
oh, right.
Yeah, man, I got a whole bunch of irons in the fire. I'm working on my own short film at this really cool like horror thing about that's an inmate that's being stalked and he's fixing to get killed, and it's pretty intense, man. It's I got a bunch of stuff working always.
That's awesome, man. Hey, you want to play some of your So what we just heard was the Little White Pills with J.B. Beverley, and before that was Ghostdance with J.B. and featuring Bobby Liebling on vocals there. Is that going to be a permanent thing, man? Is the Ghostdance thing just a project, or I mean, that's not a recent thing, is it? You said it was recorded a while.
It's been in the works for a long time, man. The biggest problem I've had is originally I played everything myself. I mean, I played the drums, bass, guitars. I mean, Darren Waters, my bro from the Little White Pills, he came into the Ghostdance fold pretty quick, and he's been doing second guitar and stuff on all the songs. And but it's it's one of those things where, for the most part, besides Darren's consistent contributions, it's been 100% me. So but now the way we've got it crafted, man, is Darren's going to play one guitar. I want to get James Honeycutt to play second guitar, and I'll play bass and sing. What I really am in need of is a drummer that could, hold this stuff down and could, get locked into a project. I mean, we all have other stuff going on, so it's not like, we just, jump into a full-time thing. I mean, you know how it is. It would be a downtime type.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Jerry.
I mean, what's that?
I was saying Jerry's a drummer here.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, boom, boom.
But you don't have you're trying to get it together to be like a live band, I suppose, right? Just is Bobby going to have time to do that with all the touring he's doing, or would he sing on more than one song?
I'm sure. Well, he wants. I mean, Bobby, and you could ask him this. He loves Ghostdance, and I would never say that if it wasn't true. I mean, he's told me that it's. It's one of his favorite bands, and when he first heard the demo, I mean, that's why he kind of jumped to and was like, I want to sing on this, because he really fell in love with it. So I mean, I know that if he had the time to even do part of a tour with us or a handful of shows, I mean, he knows he's always welcome, and he's welcome anywhere I'm on stage. That's his family. So
would he sing on? Would he sing on more than just one song, or would he? I mean, I guess so. If he came out to the show.
Yeah. I'm trying to get him. I want him to sing on a few. I mean, I'd like for him to sing at the very least, harmony on as much of the record as he wanted to, and secondary vocals when and where he wants. I mean, he's, in my opinion, I'm not just saying this because he's my friend. I mean, Bobby's his legacy to that, to that style of music, even going back to the, late 60s, early 70s, he's every bit as important as a lot of his heroes.
Sure.
And
totally.
And so, I mean, and to me especially, it's like, I mean, growing up, Bobby was just sort of like this enigma. You heard about him, and everybody, it's like it wasn't. That's why when I first got to know him, it became so close, because I saw through the mythos and saw the real man, and he was a good person.
Yeah,
sure. So, and it's like, who the fuck am I to judge, man? I got my demons, I'm not going to look at somebody just because they're a dope fiend and this and that, and look down on them. Doesn't mean I'm going to put myself in a position where I'm going to get took either, but at the same time, there's a way to toe that line with love and respect in your heart, and, at the end of the day, nobody has to suffer for it,
Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. I mean, I've met him. We've played with him many times, and the conversations have been short, but I mean, he's just such a cool guy and such a down-to-earth person, just somebody that I would love to get to know better, I mean, he's just a strong person, I mean, to go through, I mean, I've had my problems too, but he's just like, talk about rock bottom, like, I've hit rock bottom, but I mean, You know, I didn't know there was an underneath to the rock that he went to. You know, he went further than that.
Not only that, but I mean, you know, to hit it's one thing. To stay there is another thing. You know, that's where Bobby's different than like you and me and other guys that have done that dance with the devil. It's like, you know, you hit it, you know, you want to kiss in that son bitch and you get your lips away, you run for cover. Like Bobby stayed locked in that embrace for a long time, man. You know, so to me, I know exactly, man. When I was facing 10 years for, you know, right after Hurricane Katrina, that did it for me. You know, 10 years in jail would have been like my downfall. That would have been something I may have never come back from. So after that threat left, I was like, I think I'll just drink. You know, I think that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to be fucking with anything else. You know, but and it's all out. Yeah, it's all out in the public, so I don't care what people think about me or anything, but it is what it is. So what's the deal with this, something about a Charles Manson project or maybe some cover songs or something? What was that you had mentioned? Well, my friend JT Lister from Liquor Box, he and I were talking because we both kind of, you know, done our homework on Charlie's case over the years, and the fair way to put it is that we both kind of advocate the same position, which is, you know, Charlie Manson's in prison for who and what he represented and nothing that he physically did. And you know, a lot of what people know about him by way of Vincent Bugliosi's book and this and that is just so grotesquely distorted and unfactual. And, you know, I'm not going to sit there and say that any man's a saint or a sinner. It's not my place to judge. But I know this much. I mean, Charlie left this world with some really cool music. And, you know, JT and I were talking about wanting to collaborate on a tribute album and call it Cold Distant Stare, the One Mind Reflection. And since Charlie's original Death Row cell number was cell number 13, we're going to do 13 songs. And his either stuff that he wrote or that he performed, and doing some pretty choice stuff. And I'm actually in the process of trying to get Charlie to, endorse the project, if you will, and maybe contribute some spoken word stuff to it. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I can't speak for the man, and what he wants to do, he'll do.
I know that. You know, I know getting in touch with him is kind of hit and miss. I know people
it hasn't been, you know, man, I've been very fortunate. I've had the good word put in for me.
Right.
A few people that he knows, Marlon Merenick that wrote Charles Manson Now. Marlon's become a friend of mine and JT's, and he's
that's not Grey Wolf. Is that Grey Wolf?
Yeah, I don't know Grey Wolf, but I don't know Grey Wolf personally, but he knows he's hip to this, and then Star, the gal that runs MansonDirect.com, and
Star, yeah,
and just a lot of people, man, a lot of friends, and a big, you know how small the world really is, bro. You know, it's like
I mean,
and also too, man. I mean, you know, my history, you know, like just, you know, I mean, I kind of understand, you know, as far as like, you know, the being in the underbelly of shit, and you know, that whole mentality, man. I kind of, in a weird way, you know, kind of speak Charlie's language, man. I understand, you know, that wanderlust, the whole bohemia, you know, and you know, I spent my time on the streets and riding the rails and dodging court dates and arrest warrants and bullshit like that. So, you know, it's like, you know, I can separate the mythology from the man, and you know, and it's a real small world type thing, man. People know where I come from and what I represent, and they, you know, to use a term that Charlie likes to use, they reflect that on my behalf, man. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll go to him and say, you know, here's where old boy's been. He's on the level. You know, he's done this and this with his songwriting, whatever the hell they want to say. But the fact that people will go to bat for me. In many cases, people who I don't even know, who are just fans of mine or who appreciate what I'm trying to do, that means the world to me. And in the process, I've made friends as a result of it. So, you know, it's definitely been an interesting experience so far. So as long as I can get Charlie to say, you know, he wants us to do it, he'll be pretty epic.
Yeah, I mean, I come from the same place as you. Like, I mean, since I was before I was a teenager, you know, just reading Helter Skelter and realizing that it was just a bunch of lies. Basically, the entire book is just complete bullshit. And then the made-for-TV movie is a joke, you know. It's entertaining, but it's a joke. It's not true. I mean, it's, and like Charlie said, like you said, you know, it's a reflection. Like, you know, he's like, if you say hey, and I say hey back to you, and you say, well, I like you. You go, well, I like you too. And then you go, well, the guy says to me, he doesn't like me, so I go, well, I don't like you either. You know, so it's like, it's going to be a reflection like that, you know? So, I mean...
That's exactly it. I mean, people see what they want to see, man. And the truth is once the media brands you as something, then you are that something. And I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You could have all the outstanding evidence in the world just appear on your behalf that would clear your name otherwise, and you will always be associated with that worst thing. And you know, and, you know, I mean, the irony is that, like, you know, it's like something else Charlie always said is like, you know, you have people like, you know, Abby Hope, you know, Hoffman, and people like that talking about, you know, rise up, kill your parents.
Sure. And, yeah. I know exactly what you're going to say.
I mean, when you look at the hysteria of that era, and you're dealing with a guy who got branded a hippie cult leader, and in all reality, man, he's a tramp. He's an in and out of penitentiary institutional convict who, at 35 years old, winds up smack dab in the middle of the summer of love with a bunch of 18, 20-year-old, you know, beautiful, educated, middle-class girls wanting to swing from his pole. Sure. And, you know.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, you know, like he says, he's just a Kentucky boy, you know, he's a Bing Crosby fan. You know, it's like he had no idea what was going on outside the walls, you know. He was just in jail.
One argument, man, that I always make whenever, you know, Bugliosi painted this picture of these people, you know, sitting in a circle, swaying back and forth, listening to Beatles albums on repeat, right? And here's the reality, man. Like, it doesn't take a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist to figure out this one. I'd like to know, personally. I'd like to know how these people were sitting around in a circle listening to Beatles records on repeat when, in all reality, there wasn't no electricity out in the desert. They had no electricity out there. So let me ask you this: have you ever owned a phonograph player with a battery port? Because I ain't never seen one.
Yeah, I don't think such a thing exists.
Exactly. So my point is all the public misconceptions and perceptions of what happened out there is so grotesquely distorted and unfactual. It's like, you know, it doesn't make any sense. I like you. I mean, I was a kid. I remember thinking, you know, something doesn't add up with this.
Well, Vincent Bugliosi, you know, just started the whole thing, and you know, the DAs and all those guys, they just completely, that was their way of getting, you know, their publicity too, and they became stars. You know, I mean, Bugliosi won some awards for that horrible book he wrote. You know, like.
Well, not only that, but I mean, you're absolutely right. But beyond that, I mean, you got to remember this, and I know you know this, but I'm talking, when I say you, I mean people in general. You got to remember that this is a guy who had political aspirations. This is a man that wanted to be, you know, the district attorney. You know what I mean? He wanted to be a state attorney. He probably wanted to be the damn president. But the reality of the situation is that, you know, I mean, when you look at how much shit came out against him in recent years, where they've uncovered check stubs and such to where witnesses were paid off to come concoct stories, and I was a quote unquote Manson family member, and I did this and this for Charlie, and it's such horseshit. It's such horseshit.
I mean, the system's been corrupt for a long time, but that's one of the worst examples of somebody being. I mean, he wasn't a saint, you know. I mean, I'll admit that Manson wasn't, you know, he wasn't, you know, Gandhi or anything. But I mean, as far as what was pinned on him as being, you know, he said he was Satan, he said he was Jesus, and all this. It's just a lot of garbage. And then you think about the thing with Atwa. That really is something I think is special to me. Because, you know, I don't believe in God at all, but nature to me is God, and that what he says about, you know, air, trees, water, and animals is perfect. You know, I mean,
see, that's the thing, man. That's the thing, man. If you, by your own definition, man, if nature is God, then you do believe in God. You just don't believe in the God that the three-dimensional depiction of God that they try to mass produce and sell everybody. Because I'm the same way. I believe in there's a greater force out there that's given life to everything. I don't know what it is or how it works, but I know it's there.
I guess I should have said with a lowercase g. You know, I mean, not a capital G on that word. You know, it's a force that's it's a positive force that's out there. You know, and that's I think that's where everything comes from. You know, and I think he somehow kind of tapped into that, like. When he was, you know, they would set fire to like road equipment, like these machines that were tearing down the forest and things like that, and that was one of his earliest things he would get arrested for, you know. And
well, you know, man, going back to what you said a second ago, though, about the whole devil and Jesus thing. Here's the thing, man. I mean, all right, do I see them all kind of laid out, dosed out of their minds on LSD, and one of them girls looks at Charlie, and between the hair and the beard and the light that would be coming off of, you know, his aura or whatever, she's all dosed up, and she sees him a certain way, and she looks at him and says, Charlie, you're Jesus Christ. And he smiles at her and he says, yes, I am, and so are you. And we're all good, and we're all evil, and we're all the devil. Like, do I think those conversations took place? Certainly. But do I think that people forget the context, and they want to envision, you know, this quote unquote hippie cult leader? You know, I think it's, you know, that's where I find fault with it. It's like, you know, take the context of the environment for what it was and the turpitude of the times, and you know, everybody wants to get hung up. I mean, because where things are unfair, it's like this. If you play the word association game, we can play it together. Okay, if I was going to tell you to you know, associate. You know, like, for example, you put it like this. You say, you know, you say Christmas, and say Santa Claus. You know, the word association, right? Well, how many people in this country, or in the world, in the world, how many people, if you were to use the word serial killer, they'd say Charlie Manson in a word association?
A lot. I'm sure the percentage would be high.
It would be remarkably high, and the irony is, Charlie never killed nobody. And the only person who ever said that he, you know, gave quote unquote orders to kill was, you know, Linda State's witness Kasabian, and we all know how much credibility a snitch has. You know,
of course,
and
he was the first one.
An immunity stool pigeon. So it's like, you know, and then of course Peck's changed his story 100 times. So did the girls. But you know, the one thing is, man, Charlie's always maintained his story. His story gels with a lot of the facts that have come up about the case over the last 40 years. So, you know, people want to pass an instant judgment on him. That's fine. You know, I can't control how people. They're
going to think that they want to think. You know, that's the mind that you know, the public. These are the people that, you know, buy the Britney Spears records and all these idiots that just think like. You know, they're just mindless.
People that they can't miss an episode of American Idol or whatever. You know.
No, it's like a mindless thing. You tell them it's true, then that's it. You know, it's over. You know, they pretty much blamed Manson for all the '60s. I mean, Nixon was dropping napalm on supposed communists in Vietnam, but Manson's over here getting arrested for it. You know, it's like. He like you said, he didn't
there's a very clear parallel, man. I mean, you know, the irony too is that, you know, they used the status quo used two things to destroy the counterculture movement of the 1960s, and they used one of which was the Manson murders. I hate to use the term, but that's what they call it, and Altamont. You know, between that and Altamont, they
I knew you were going to say that. I knew exactly that you were going to say that, man. Altamont was so quote unquote. Yeah, Altamont was so called, you know, quote unquote, the end of the '60s. You know, it's like the hippies are violent now. You know, it's over. You know, it's just like this whole thing that. And of course, you know, the Rolling Stones are a great band, and that was something subversive that people didn't like either. You know, that they wanted to blame them for that. You know, so. It all got blamed on the underground, is what I guess we'd call it now, you know. But Rolling Stones are a huge band, but back then,
I mean, but that's the beauty of it, man. Is that the real pulse, the true pulse of all good music and culture. Even if it finds mainstream success, it always starts in the underground. It always has humble roots.
Sure,
it's like the stuff that's got the contrived success stories. You can't say that about. But all the real shit, all the stuff that really makes a difference, that really penetrates boundaries and makes you think or gives you a reaction. It's that all that stuff is rooted in real humble means, man. And I feel. I mean, what the fuck do I know? But that's what I feel.
Yeah, that's the way I think. I don't know the answers, but that's just my opinion. I mean. So you asked me and Jimmy Bauer to help you with this thing, or be on something, or record something. So hopefully we can.
My idea was to do a kind of a prog rock, like proto metal version of Hallways of Always, and maybe have you and Bauer play like drums and guitar.
Hallways of Always. Yeah, from
that'd be pretty cool.
Is that from the Commemoration record?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a record that record's on a lot in the van when we're on tour. We play that a lot. Me and Joey, our drummer Joey's been in touch with Grey Wolf, and he's a huge Aleister Crowley freak, and so we've been through that. We're into that, I guess I would say. Oh man, so this has been quite a conversation tonight, it seems.
Yeah, man, we've talked about everything from music to culture to God. We've covered a lot of ground.
Pretty much, man. We've been on the phone about an hour so far, so I guess we're probably going to end it up now, man, and I'm going to play these last sets of songs, and you got, and I definitely want to talk to you soon, though, off the air. We'll keep in touch. I want to...
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I've
man, come up to Fayetteville, man. Either that, or I'll take a trip down to Wheezy, and we'll get something cooking. Sure.
That would be awesome, man. Either way, man, we'll definitely hook up. And Jim, I already talked to Jimmy about it, and he's interested in doing something, So, and he knows who you are and everything, so it would definitely be fun. Either way.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Man. Sure.
I think I sent you my number, but if not, I'll send it to you again. But you got any websites you want to plug or anything before we go?
People can read all my stuff under one banner, man. It's www.jbbeverley.com, and I'm on Facebook and even Twitter and all that shit these days. So,
and that's L-E-Y. Don't forget the E.
Yeah, L-E-Y, exactly.
Yeah, I got a little buzzed and forgot to type that in the other night too. That's
right. But
anyway, right, exactly. Just to put that out there, get people thinking about it. All right, man. It's been awesome talking to you. We're gonna play some music here, and then I'm gonna pass out eventually. So. Thanks, man.
Well,
thanks a lot.
I appreciate you thinking of me and having me on, and thanks, Jerry. And I'll keep tuning into the show, man. Let's talk soon.
Take it easy,
man. We will for sure. I'll talk to you very soon.
All right, man. You guys be well. Take care, bro.
All right, take care, JB. Later. All right, Lizard, you there?
For sure, bro.